Hi everyone, Greg Heilman here with another episode of Behind the Curtain with the Sound on Stage. I'm joined today by the extremely talented Ingrid Sanai Buron. Ingrid is a television, voiceover, theater, and film actor who has just returned to the Pacific Northwest a few years ago after many successful years in Los Angeles. Recent stage productions here in the Pacific Northwest or in the Seattle area include, but are not limited to, Lady Anabella in the Edmonds Driftwood Players production of Ada and the Engine, Linda in Phoenix Theater's Move Over Mrs. Markham, for which she won our Best Supporting Actor Award in a play, and most recently, Sister Aloysius in Second Story Rep's production of Doubt, a Parable. Welcome to the show, Ingrid. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about doubt before we get into the plethora of other things I'd love to talk to you about. So I want to talk to you about what it was like to play Sister Aloysius, who, strict, conservative, who's so obsessed with the guilt, the perceived guilt of this Father Flynn, that it just drives her almost mad. So that's got to be a stretch a little bit,
Well, yes. I mean, getting to play Sister Aloysius was a dream role. It was a bucket list role. I never thought I'd get to play it. I mean, Meryl Streep played her in the movie. That's all you need to know, right? Cherry Jones initiated on stage. I mean, it is a brilliant role by one of my all-time favorite playwrights. And when I saw that Second Story Rep was going to do it, I was laser focused on at least auditioning for it and doing the best I could. And when I got it, I was kind of dumbfounded and thrilled and terrified at the same time because there's no intermission, and I'm not sure I've actually ever done a play without an intermission. And the line load is a bonkers.
It is.
Thank goodness they cast early, so I was able to start memorizing the second I got cast while also doing another play. But luckily, that was a supporting role, so I had the time to do it. It is a role, I'm not going to say that doesn't come along that often for women, but for a middle-aged woman to have a role that is so complex, so rich, has so much going for it is a rarity. And I feel so fortunate that I got to do it. I thank Doug Knoop. I thank Mark Chenovic at Second Story Rep. It was a absolutely beautiful production. The sets, the costumes, the lights, the actors I got to work with were so stupendous. Right at the callback, I got to be called back with Daniel Wood, who ended up being my Father Flynn. The callback with him was one of the best acting moments I'd ever had. I literally shook his hand afterwards and was like, if nothing else, this was some of the best 10 minutes I've ever had acting with another person. And then when I got cast with him, I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is going to be fantastic. It was electric working with him and Mariah and Shayna. It was a truly magical experience. And
when you say your Father Flynn, they used two casts.
Right.
Of course, I didn't get to see yours, unfortunately, but the show itself, you mentioned it was beautiful set.
So
the lighting is just exquisite. Mark's work at Second Story Rep is always top notch in that regard. But that character is so much emotion. There's passion. There's anger. There's that doubt. And it's
and the repressed emotion.
Yeah,
that is what is so hard. And she's got a sense of humor, which is an absolute delight. And of course, you have to tamp a lot of it down because it's not a comedy, and I'm naturally funny, so I have to, you have to tamp a lot of that down. But having to hold all of that in, and I created a whole backstory for her. You're given very, very little backstory, and so, as an actor, you fill it in, and I created a whole story for her for why she immediately believed this guy was guilty, that she'd seen it before. And she was so sure, so sure, until the very end. Which makes her human. Yeah. And that's what's so wonderful about the play.
Yeah.
And that some people who saw the play thought he did it. Some didn't. A lot of people just said, well, we don't want him to have done it. And everybody came away from it with something different, especially if they were raised Catholic or they were in a religious family. Yeah. Everyone brings, and that's the magic of theater, right? You bring your own life experiences to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a joy.
Yeah, and you mentioned that. That's one thing that I'm always impressed with when I see an actor portray an emotion or a person with a layer of emotions, whether it's a happy person, but you can feel a sadness like right under the surface.
Right.
And I imagine, is that How difficult is that to do as an actor, to not let that that piece that's right under the surface come out?
It can be hard, but if the writing is good, that's the thing. This play is so well written. It gives you so much. I knew her instantly because the play is so brilliant. And yes, you find levels. You don't want to play one note all throughout. So there's times where she's, trying to suppress her anger towards him, not trying to show it. She's trying to manipulate him, and she's trying to get information out of him. Now she's trying to dominate him. And it would be very boring if every performance was just one emotion or one layer throughout. So you're always trying to layer it. But if it's well written and if you've done the work as an actor to create a backstory, if it's not given to you, it will just come. It will just be there. That's the joy of working on a play that is so brilliant. It's like candy. You're just like, num, 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 num.
Awesome. All right. Well, so you, as I said in the bio, you returned from LA. So are you from here originally?
Yes, I'm an Edmonds native.
Okay.
Went to the UW.
Okay. And when did you go down to LA?
2004, I think it was. So I won a nationwide acting talent contest that the Bravo Network held.
Star Search, that kind of?
It was to find the best undiscovered actor in the country.
Ooh.
So I won.
Nice.
And the prize was being flown back to New York, because the initial prize of being a finalist was I was flown to New York and I had to do this audition. And then it was voted on by people at NBC and then the public at large. And then when I won, I was flown back again to New York as the prize. And I got to meet the VP of casting at NBC in New York. And I'd always planned to go to LA. I always knew I had to try. And I was like, well, this seems to be the moment. I have momentum. I was able to join SAG-AFTRA, and I was like, well, this seems like the time. And so the VP of casting in New York was like, oh, you're going to go to LA? Okay, I'll set up a meeting with a casting director in Los Angeles. So as the casting directors for Scrubs, or the ones who I got to meet. So me and my husband, we moved there. We were there for 10 years. Very glad I did it. It was very hard. It's a hard place to live. But I had experiences there I would never have had otherwise, and I would have regretted it if I never tried.
Yeah.
And I got to do Gilmore Girls. I recurred on House. I got to work with Hugh Laurie. I got to work with Lauren Graham. I did 4 episodes of I did Prison Break. I did Desperate Housewives. It was the kind of experience you can't get anywhere else unless you go to New York or, well, now Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or Los Angeles. So I'm so glad I did it. I got to, drive onto studio lots. And, the longest job I had, I think, was a week where I got to work on According to Jim with Jim Belushi. And I got to drive into a studio lot every day for a week.
That's cool.
And that one was in front of a live studio audience. So it was like a play. And every day you'd get a new script and they would revise everything. And then they'd come to you and say, here's a new joke. Here's your new joke. It was a great experience, but hard.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's a hard town to live in.
I can imagine, because it's not like you're the only one there looking for work, right?
Oh no, that's one of the things in LA. You walk into a room for an audition and you walk in and you see 25 of you. That's real disconcerting. I mean, literally, you're like, oh, this is the look. And then other times you walk in, and the funny thing is I never once booked a role when I walked into a room and everyone looked like me. I only booked a role when I walked into a room and it was all different types of people, ages, races. Then I had a chance. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, first of all, congratulations on the talent contest.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
It was pretty cool. It was a thing that was the talking point in LA when I first moved there, because it was something different. And I just, when I got there, didn't know anybody other than, this casting director I'd met. So I started doing casting director workshops. And my first casting director workshop I got called in for Monk. And it just went like that. I just got called in over and over and over again. The problem was I was never able to get a top-tier agent or manager. So all the things I booked, and I booked 24 roles while I was in LA, mostly television, 1 movie with Mandy Moore and Diane Keaton, and 1 national commercial. Booked them all myself. The problem was you can't move up from supporting roles if you do not have a team. And I could never break into one of those upper agents or managers. So I gave myself 10 years. I was like, that seems like a good amount of time. I gave myself 10 years to be a working actor, i.e. quit your day job. And never managed to do that. So after 10 years, I was like, well, that's what I promised my husband. I was like, let's go home. And I'm so happy to be back.
But House, I mean, you get to work on House. So House is my son's favorite show.
Yep.
He's watched every episode probably 3 or 4 times.
Yep. That one was, and I got to do the one with, so I did 4 episodes of that. One of the ones was with Dave Matthews, the musician, of all people. I got to stand over his head, and they had like this fake head of his with his brain open that was sitting out in the hallway. It was great. Hugh Laurie was an absolute delight. He's as lovely a human as you would hope to work with. And Gilmore Girls, that's the one people love to talk about the most. And I tried out for Gilmore Girls. They called me in for that show, I think 10 to 12 times before I found it just over. And the casting director was so wonderful. She kept bringing me back and bringing back. And then finally I got it on the last season, 7th season. I finally got it. And so that was a wonderful one to do. Yeah. So it was an amazing experience. I'm so glad I did it. It was the type of work you can't do anywhere else unless you're in one of the hubs. And it was fantastic, but hard at the same time.
Well, we're glad you're back here.
Thank you.
And one thing I want to talk to you, you mentioned that about your ability to do comedy, that you're a funny person. And I've noticed that in the shows that I've seen you in, that now you've done heavy roles. You've done, Sister Aloysius is not necessarily a light role. No. But the ones that I've seen you really excel in are A, in these ensemble groups, and B, in the ones that kind of skew more towards the funny.
Yeah.
So is that something that you've always had a knack for on the comedy side? Or is that something that you've purposely kind of geared your acting career towards?
No, I'm just funny. If I'm allowed to say that about myself. I'm allowed to not be humble here today. No, I'm just naturally funny. I come from a funny house. And all of the kids, I'm one of 6 kids, and we all acted at some point or another. I'm the only one who stuck with it. But no, I absolutely love doing drama, especially like something like Sister Aloysius, or when I did, Dancing at Lunasa. It's an absolute joy to go into these depths of emotion. But there is nothing quite like making people laugh. Mm-hmm. And feeling the rolling laughter when something really works coming off the audience. There's just nothing like that feedback that you get. Yeah. But also, I just so enjoy finding the comedy. And comedy can be hard because you can overdo it. You don't want to turn it into a cartoon. It's got to be, based in reality. They've got to be real characters, even in a farce. And I've worked with some really brilliant comedic directors here. David Allen Morrison, he did Murder in an Unnecessary Farce. Eric Lewis, who did Markham and Death by Design. I'm about to work with him again. He's a brilliant director as well. When you work with these amazing comedic directors and you just get this, the magic going of comedy, there's nothing quite like it. So, I mean, if I had to only choose one thing to do the rest of my life, it would be comedic roles. But luckily, I have not had to choose. And that's the joy of being an actor, is the variety.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's in just how you say something. I remember I was doing, I forget what show it was, but I think it wasn't until the 5th performance when I actually said something the right way that people laughed at it.
Yes.
And then as soon as they did that, it's like a light bulb goes, that's how you should say,
Of course. And you don't know that till there's an audience.
Yeah.
And then there's the balance of, you don't want to overplay to the audience. You don't want to be begging for a laugh. You don't want to be going, nah, because it's not vaudeville, right? So, but you discover things once a run starts. And that is such an amazing thing, or something you never thought was funny. You're getting laughs on it every time. You're like, oh, I guess that was funny. Yeah. And it's that's the magic of live theater, right? It's always changing. It's kind of like an organism. And once the show opens, every night is different. Every audience is different. You can put on the exact same show you put on yesterday and not one person laughs. But then you go and talk to them afterwards and people loved it. Yeah. They're just not guffawing at it. So every single night is different. Every performance is different. It's this wonderful ethereal magic that is theater, that every night's different. And for the most part, it's never recorded. So all you have are photographs and your memories of it. And that's the heartbreak and the magic of live theater.
Yeah. How about ensemble pieces? Do you tend to prefer those where you're with a group? Do you prefer smaller casts?
I prefer whatever I get cast in.
Okay.
That's what I keep saying to people. I'm like, anybody who wants me, I'm available. It's pretty simple. I love it all. I think the smallest cast I've worked in was 4, and that was challenging. That one was, I think, my first lead. That was Sylvia at Renton Civic Theater. I played Kate, and that was my first lead role I'd had since high school, because otherwise it was always supporting parts. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot to have a lead role and have that on your shoulders. But big ensembles are fantastic too. Small part, medium part, they're all good.
Yeah.
As long as it's well written, keep going back to that, because if you have a good director, a great play, and great actors, it's going to be good no matter what. It's just, is it going to be good or is it going to be great? And I just love working with all different types of people. I love working on different types of plays.
Would you do a one-person show?
That is something I have never had any interest in doing, because to me, the magic of, I say that now, talk to me in 10 years and I can't get a job, I'll do a one-woman play. Probably not. Maybe a 2-person. That would be fun. But the joy of theater for me, other than playing all these variety of characters that are not me, is working with other people. The give and take and the back and the forth and the magic that you create. That is the joy for me. So it seems like it'd be real lonely to do a one-person show. Like, I don't even like doing monologues. You know, auditioning is fine with a monologue. But when I've had plays and they have a monologue within them, that's not my favorite part. I want the back and forth.
Yeah.
That's the joy to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can tell, and especially somebody who likes comedy, that's a big part of the comedy.
Absolutely.
Is the back and forth.
Absolutely.
And the timing and the pace and all that.
Yeah. And doing comedic monologues is hard.
Yeah.
Dramatic is much easier.
Yeah.
Because who are you playing off? The imaginary person.
Yeah.
So it's tough. So I'd always prefer to be with other actors.
Now, have you done anything in any other mediums since you've been back?
Yes. Films, short films, voiceovers, commercials, PSAs, podcasts. Right now there's a Washington Healthcare Authority PSA that I filmed that is everywhere, because I'm getting people just messaging me right and left. It's on like Amazon Prime right now. I saw it on CNN. And I did this dramatic sci-fi podcast called Metropolis. It's a 13-episode podcast. 9 episodes are out so far. You can find it anywhere you find your podcasts. Not just because I'm in it. It is brilliant. It's by Dan Koch, and his wife, Sally, was our director and dramaturg, and he wrote all 13 episodes. Dan, it's by Lux Radium is the name of the company. Metropolis. Download it today. It is brilliant. The writing is magnificent. The production, it's stupendous. And I just saw on Facebook today they're up to 10,000 downloads.
Wow.
For an unknown podcast, a dramatic, original dramatic podcast. So that was an amazing experience, getting to go to a recording studio every day for a few weeks and getting to play 2 completely different characters. So I had to come up with 2 completely different voices. One was an old lady, one was not. That was a real challenge. And I had a lot of doubt about, I had a lot of doubt about that one, that I could pull it off with just your voice. Because I've done some voiceover, not a ton.
Yeah.
So that's out right now, and I'm super proud to have a small part in that. So, yeah, I will do, anyone want to hire me? Birthday parties? No, I'll do anything. That's not true. Not anything, but you know. You can edit that part out.
Nothing gets edited out.
Oh, boy.
So you've got experience in all these different mediums. If someone comes up to you and wants to get started in acting, is there a recommended path that you have? Is it better to stage help, TV and film, screen? Mm-hmm. If they did that first, I mean, does one help the other? I imagine doing all of it would be beneficial.
Yeah.
But if someone had to get started in one, is
theater? You have, just my opinion. If you do not have the base knowledge, the base skills, theater gives you the knowledge for everything else. What's the difference between theater acting and film and TV acting? TV and film acting is smaller. That's it. That's all you need to know. It's smaller. It's more technical. You might have to do multiple takes at multiple angles and recreate the same thing. It's very, very different. But if you are a good actor and you have the skills, it all translates. It's just learning the little differences as far as the techniques. That's it. I went to the UW and studied, drama there. Before I moved to LA, I did on-camera classes with like Patty Callis and Jody Rothfield, the casting directors. And I'm very glad I did that. It's fantastic to take acting classes, do theater, do on-camera classes, because watching yourself back is invaluable. And not just anybody can record themselves with a phone, but having a professional, critique what you're doing.
Yeah.
So all that is good. But my opinion is, if you start in the theater, you're going to have all the tools you need.
Is there how nobody likes their voice when you hear
Oh,
recorded?
yeah.
Is it the same when you watch yourself? Does it take a little while to get used to watching yourself act?
Yes. At first it's horrifying. And then I ended up, having to, put reels together and sit with an editor. And you get to the point where I'm able to step back and stop, criticizing myself and everything so much and just look at it. Okay, we're going to edit this together and put this together. No, that, I like that cut of myself. And I'm able to kind of pull back a bit now more than I used to. Hearing my own voice is still horrifying. I think that's universal.
I think so.
Something about it. But yeah, you get used to it. You have to, at a certain point, just be, okay, you can't be that self-conscious if you're going to be an actor.
Yeah.
I think. And so I was able to, at first it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but moving to LA, that ended that because I'd watch myself on television.
Yeah.
And that was pretty fun. It still is. Like when my commercial now, my PSA pops up and I'm not expecting it. It's like, cool.
I know.
And sometimes I'll come across, because I said so, the one big feature film I did is on all the time, and Gilmore Girls is on, and I've come across my episode of House, flipping around. So stuff like that, it's I'm just proud of it now,
Yeah.
So.
That is. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
I mean, so what's next for you?
So next is The Gods of Comedy with Eric Lewis directing at Phoenix and Edmonds. And I play a washed-up movie star. Take that for what you will, people. Acting. So that's going to be a fun one. It's a supporting part, and it's an absolute delightful part. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Anything with Eric's a wonderful director. I love working at Phoenix. It's a comedy theater, which is such a fantastic thing. And don't we all need a little comedy right now?
Yeah.
So it could not be more polar opposite than Doubt. And that's the fun part for me. Before Doubt, I did a show. I did Second Samuel at Phoenix and was playing a, Southern beauty queen. Mm-hmm. Before that, I was in the Wickhams where I was playing a Regency, maid in England. That is the joy for me, is going back and forth and doing completely different parts one after the other. And it's been a delightful ride. I feel incredibly lucky to have worked as much as I have these last few years. And I'm just endlessly grateful for the experiences and the people who keep casting me. So nothing but gratitude for me.
Very good. Well, you mentioned these last couple of roles, and one of the things that I always like to call out in reviews when they're done well is accents.
Oh.
And you do your accents very well. And I had as a guest a few episodes ago, Mariana DeFazio.
Yeah.
And she's an excellent dialect coach. Do accents come natural to you?
Very much so. My parents speak 6 languages between them.
Oh, wow.
First generation American. So I grew up hearing their accents, going to Europe every summer to visit relatives. So I was surrounded by accents from birth. So I have been doing them. I think I probably came out of the womb doing accents. And I grew up watching, Monty Python and Fawlty Towers and you name it, anything that had an accent. I'm like a, what's the bird that repeats things? A parrot? I don't know. It's incredibly easy for me.
Okay.
Accents. And if there's one I need to learn, I can do it. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Is to do accents, as you can probably tell from all the things I do. I'm like, can I do an accent in the show? Yes. Okay, thank you. So for me, it's a joy because once again, I'm not being myself, and that's the fun of being an actor. It's like I'm fine, but it's fun doing something completely different. And an accent, you don't want it to become a crutch where you're just constantly doing accents, and it's like putting in funny teeth or wearing like Johnny Depp always having to have, weird teeth in or something like that. You don't, not dissing on Johnny Depp here, but you get my point, is that you don't want it to become a crutch. But if it's a play that's set in England, I'm like, well, where's this character from? What's the accent?
Yep.
And, try to get it as accurate as humanly possible. And there have been times I've gotten to work with a great dialect coach, Grace, and other times there is no dialect coach, and I just watch as many natural speakers as I can. Thank goodness for YouTube. I will watch movies. You name it. If I can find that accent, I will listen to it, and I just listen to it over and over and over and over and again, and out it comes.
Grace is another name that keeps popping up in my reviews. And
yes, she's very good.
Yeah. You mentioned doubt was a bucket list item. Do you have any other bucket list?
Oh, sure. I mean, Mame is a role that seeing Rosalind Russell play Mame.
Oh, we love Mame.
Made me want to become an actor. That I don't think anybody puts on Mame, either the straight play or the musical. I have never heard of anyone putting on that play. I guess it's a bit of a chestnut. I don't even know if the play as written is any good because I just know the movie.
Yeah.
But that is a dream role.
It's hilarious.
You know, Mama Rose and Gypsy, you know, things like that. But the fact that the last 2 years I've gotten to do Doubt. Before that, I got to do Dancing at Lunasa, which was a bucket list show, also with Doug Knoop at Second Story Rep. And before that, I'd always wanted to do a Noel Coward. And I've never gotten to do an actual Noel Coward, but I got to do Death by Design, which was the next closest thing because it's a Noel Coward-esque play. And I got to do one of the greatest comedic roles probably I'll ever get. And that was Eric Lewis at Phoenix cast me in that. So I feel really, really, really lucky. But yeah, I'd love to do Blood Spirit. You know, it's a long list. Mm-hmm. And I almost don't even want to put it out into the ether. But I feel very lucky what I've gotten to do so far. But there's, you know, as actors, we're greedy. We always want to do more.
I've not seen you do a musical.
Yeah, I do musicals.
Okay. Yeah. I have not seen you do one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be singing in The Gods of Comedy.
Okay.
So if you come review that,
I will.
Sing. Well, you heard me sing in 2 Samuel. You saw that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I sang in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But was it a musical?
Not a musical per se. No. So. But yeah, I like to do it all.
Okay. So if people want to learn more about what you're up to, you're on social media.
Yep. No fancy name. It's just my name, Ingrid Sanai Buron, on Instagram and Facebook. And I have a website, ingridsanaiburon.com. I know I'm not very creative when it comes to that. It's just making it easy. The name is enough. It's a mouthful. I don't want to make it harder on people. So yeah, and I put everything on my Facebook on what's upcoming. And The Gods of Comedy runs the month of June at Phoenix Theater in Edmonds. Come check it out.
Okay.
It's going to be funny. It's a Ken Ludwig play. So
yeah. And that tucks in right before the deadline for our awards. At the end of June. So.
Then we'll have to do extra good.
Yes.
Well,
thank you, Ingrid. Thank you for stopping by and taking
you.
some time. I've been wanting to set this up for a while. You've been busy. I've been busy. But we finally got
I appreciate you squeezing me
together. So, very good. So, my guest here on Behind the Curtain with the Sound on Stage has been Ingrid Sanai Buron. I am Greg Heilman, and until next time, I will see you at the stage door.